but I actually want to start by telling you the story of how I first learned about affirmative action. Back, believe it or not, when I was 12 years old, I applied to a Newland prep school called Roxbury Linton. And, I was a smart little kid. Would you believe I must have been 12, but I got a perfect score on the entrance exam. They rejected me. And I still remember what the dean of admissions told me. And that's when my father realized I wasn't getting in. He said, "We see a lot of your people around here." That is when I learned that there was something called affirmative action, and that in the United States, it's perfectly okay to discriminate against Asian Americans and white people. Me personally, I don't respond well to racism, so I vowed that it would never happen to me again. That is ultimately, I think, why I decided to pose as an African American to gain admission to medical school. 10 years later, in 1998, I was a young college student who was worried about my chances of getting admission to medical school. So being a statistics and economics major, I sort of looked at the statistics published by the American Association of Medical Colleges. And I came to a very odd conclusion, which was that as an Asian American, I had a very low chance of admission. But a Black student with my grades and test scores had a really high chance of admission. So I came up with the idea of posing as a Black man. I shaved my head. I trimmed my long Indian eyelashes, if you can see them. I joined the organization of Black students, and I applied to medical school as a Black man. It worked beyond my wildest expectations. Despite my kind of pitiful 3.1 college GPA, I got waitlisted at Washington University and the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine. Not sure if you know this, guys, but those are the third and fourth best medical schools in the country. Not bad for a kid with the 3.1 GPA, right? And I got into St. Louis University School of Medicine, despite the fact that my GPA of 3.7 was dramatically lower than their average of my GPA of 3.1 was dramatically lower than their average of 3.7. Now, you might say, but Joe, that was like, Vijay, my goodness, that was 20 years ago. Well, guess what? According to the American Association of Medical Colleges, someone who applied to medical school in 2016 with my 3.1 GPA and 31 MCAT score, this is across the country, not just in California, had a 18% chance of admission as an Asian American, 28% chance of admission as a white person, a 48% chance of admission as Hispanic, and a 76% chance of admission as an African American. So if you did the same thing I did and applied as an Asian American, applied as a Black man instead of an Asian American, you would improve your chances of admission by by almost 60%. There is a reason why Senator Elizabeth Warren lied about her race to get a faculty position at Harvard Law School, earning the name Pocahontas. She actually benefited from it by improving her chances of admission or getting a law school position. Now, eventually, I would never have told anyone this story because I would have kept it to myself, except for the fact that I ultimately dropped out of medical school, which is kind of like very good proof of Anthony Scalia's mismatched theory of affirmative action, but the famous Anthony Scalia. But eventually I dropped out of medical school and I got my MBA at UCLA, which is a school that doesn't practice affirmative action, thanks to all of you who were responsible for Proposition 209. At UCLA, I learned that it was possible to have a diverse class of African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanics, and whites, and a rich educational experience without practicing racial discrimination in admissions. So I don't want any of you to believe that Proposition 16 is necessary for you to have a great educational experience. We cannot allow this kind of discrimination to occur at UCLA or UC Berkeley or employment in the California system. That is why we need to stop Proposition 16. You shouldn't have to deny your race, as I did, just because you want to go to a great college or university or get a job in the state government.